All right, guys, welcome back to Wild Outdoor Living. I wanted to give you guys a final update on the Stache. So I said in a video a while ago that I was going to be selling the Stache since I got the Fuel EX. And later on after I made that video, I decided to keep the Stache and set it up as a bike packing bike and just run it as a bike packing bike. And we actually had some plans to ride a good portion of the Tour Divide this year. And unfortunately, a lot of that stuff is not going to be possible this year. And I kept getting approached about selling this bike. And so I am actually going to end up selling it, even after deciding not to. And so I'm about to take this bike apart and return it to its kind of trail bike setup. But I wanted to show kind of the setup that I'd put it into for bike packing and explain kind of some of the choices that I'd made. So bags aside, you know, I always run the frame bag or the top tube bag and the seat bag. And I also have a front roll bag that I use for gear and everything. And then a lot of times I'll tape a bag or a container underneath the down tube, and that seems to work pretty well. If you check out my Arizona Trail video, you'll see how that was kind of set up. But the big story here is actually the wheels and tires that I swapped on this. So the 3-inch tires work great, especially if you're using it as a trail bike and you want a little bit more suspension out of your hardtail. But if you want to set this up as kind of an endurance bike or maybe closer to a cross-country bike, then you probably are not going to like the vague feeling of the 3-inch tires. So I went down to a 2.6-inch tire. And originally I did this on the big 46 mil plus bike wheels. And that actually worked okay, but it made it for a really straight sidewall. So I ended up grabbing another set of wheels. These are Bontrager Line Elite, so aluminum rim, 108 points of engagement, although I am running 54 right now in the rear wheel. And so much better hubs, better rim overall, and dropped a lot of weight off of this bike. The big thing it does though, dropping down to a 2.6 or a 2.5 on this bike, is it makes the handling just a lot sharper. Bike rolls faster and generally just feels a lot more engaging. So really a nice, a nice handling change for the Stache. Really improves the handling. It definitely takes away from its ability to ride rougher trails comfortably. The 3-inch tire definitely helps with that, but it definitely turns up the heat on the handling here with the Stache. And then I also swapped to a rigid seat post since I'm running the seat 2 bag and I can't use the dropper post anyways in this configuration. Went to a carbon seat post. So the bike is just overall quite a bit lighter and a lot faster, but still running a 120 mil fork, still pretty slack, still pretty good stack height on it, so position's really comfortable. And then I run these Ergon GS3 grips with the bar ends there. Really like having the bar end for long rides, just because the flat bar can only be so comfortable. You've only got one position for all that time. So to keep it simple without going with a real wild bar, the bar end has been a good choice for me. The other thing I changed on this one is went to a larger front chainring up to a 32 from the stock 28. So the stock 28 is great if you just want to have a really great graining gear with the 11 to 46 cassette, but it definitely hurts your top end. So if you're trying to cruise, on long rides, you end up sitting in that 11 tooth and kind of spinning a little bit too high. So the 32 pushes you back up with the cassette a couple gears and gives you a better chain line. But otherwise, this bike's been really fun. It can be a lot of different things. Of course, as I've said in the past, it's a great trail bike if you want to be on a hardtail and save some money. And if you want to set it up as a bike packing bike and set it up as almost as a cross-country rig, it does really, really well at that. Really like the 2.6-inch tires. A lot of you guys are probably going to want to know, is the bottom bracket height too low? It is not. So I didn't notice any extra pedal strikes with this setup versus the 3-inch. You're losing a little bit of height on a 2.6 compared to a 3, but not enough to be a problem. I've definitely ridden bikes that are lower than this one is right now. And so I was really pleased with that. Didn't have any really negative effects. Overall, yeah, really gonna miss this thing. Probably will not buy another. And this is part of the reason I didn't sell this bike, or I was hesitant to sell this bike for a long time. I feel like the 2018 was spec'd the best compared to the bikes that came afterwards. So, you know, the 11 speed, I feel like in this level of price point is a better setup than like a NX 12 speed or an SX 12 speed. So there's that. Some of the other componentry changes they made I felt were kind of weird. And to kind of add to it, the bike, so the Stache went up in price quite a bit, and a lot of it had to do with tariffs. But for me, when I bought this bike originally, the price really made a lot of sense. And later on, I was less happy with that price. But I would say, you know, this is a really unique setup. It's a really fun bike to ride. If you can find one used, they're just a party to have. And if you've got the money and you know you like this setup, by all means, I mean, you can still buy a new one. Well, when the bikes come back in stock, that is. Right now, unfortunately, that's a bit of a challenge. But if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Not really sure what I'm going to be doing next. If you guys are looking at a Stache and have any questions, I can try to point you in the right direction. This is the second one that I've had, and yeah, just a really unique setup that is a lot of fun. So, all right, we'll catch you later.